Is the internet and the World Wide Web the same thing? If we pose this question to the average person on the street, what do you think they'd say? This is a brief history of the World Wide Web. The short answer is no. The internet and the World Wide Web are not the same thing. The internet predates the World Wide Web by about 7 years. There was an organization called ARPANET that created the first computer network. And in 1983, they adopted a technology called TCP/IP, actually a protocol called TCP/IP, which allowed for routing communications between separate networks. Researchers began assembling the network of networks at that point, which ultimately became the modern-day internet. The World Wide Web is an information system where documents, other resources are identified, hyperlinked, and are accessible via a browser from the internet. In 1989, this gentleman, Tim Berners-Lee, was a software engineer at CERN, and CERN is a physics lab in Geneva, Switzerland. Scientists would come from all over the world to use its accelerators, but Berners-Lee noticed that they were having difficulty sharing information. Now, some of the building blocks of the internet were already emerging, already developing or developed. Things like TCP, things like DNS, hypertext, things like that. And Berners-Lee is quoted as saying, "I just had to take the hypertext idea and connect it to the transmission control protocol and the domain name system, and ta-da, the World Wide Web." Well, Berners-Lee is underselling his contribution. By 1990, within a year after Tim published his paper on the World Wide Web and showed it to his boss, he had developed 3 foundational technologies that remain fundamental to today's web. HTML, which is the programming language or the formatting language of the web pages. HTTP, which is the hypertext transfer protocol, which allows, and you usually see that at the beginning of an address, that allows for the retrieval of linked resources across the web. URL that's an address that is unique, and it is used to identify resources across the web. But wait, it gets better. Tim also developed the first web browser called the World Wide Web app, and he created the first web server. Tim, along with others, advocated for the free use of the internet. They advocated to ensure that CERN would agree to make the underlying code available on a royalty-free basis. As other companies that were developing web technologies emerged, they committed to a royalty-free policy for their work. There were a few ideas that the web community espoused in the beginning stages of the internet that makes it revolutionary. 1. Decentralization. That means that no permission is needed from a central authority to post anything on the web. There is no central controlling node, no single point of failure, which means no kill switch. 2. Bottom-up design. Instead of code being written by a handful of experts, this was developed in full view of everyone, encouraging maximum participation and experimentation. 3. Non-discrimination. This means that if I pay to connect to the internet at a certain quality of service, and you pay to connect to the internet at a certain or greater quality of service, then we both can communicate at the same level. This principle of equity is also known as net neutrality. This has been a brief history of the World Wide Web. Thank you.